10 random Magic cards rated, day number 67, everybody. Hope your Friday's good, TGIF and all that. First card is Elvish Warrior. A 2 green mana 2/3 with a relevant creature type because it's an elf. That's the whole card. Originally printed Onslaught, if you care. Nice little old border there. Looking good, but like a 2.2, you know? And the only thing giving it like that extra 0.5, like oomph, is the fact that it's an elf. That's it. It's fine. So I guess we'll move on already to Kasmina. I like Kasmina, man. 4 mana, 3 and a blue for a 5 loyalty Kasmina Planeswalker. Spells your opponent's cast that target a creature or Planeswalker you control cost 2 more to cast. So all your creatures and Planeswalkers have Ward 2, kind of. But you can also -2 Kasmina to create a 2/2 blue wizard creature token and then draw a card and discard a card. I am going to order this card by Kasmina. And I'll know which one I'm talking about when I Google Kasmina. What the heck is this card? Oh, yeah, this guy's. Yeah. This lady's awesome. Was great in War of the Spark Standard in multiple decks that I built, but like never actually again, jumped into the tournament scene. I feel like there were a couple of decks the entire time War of the Spark was in Standard that actually played this and finished well in tournaments. But it did show up from time to time, but not very often, I'll have to admit. But still, making, it's 4 mana for 4 total power on 2 guys, ideally, right? And also 2 loots at the same time. And also, those 2 2s are, they have Ward 2. And Kasmina has Ward 2. And this is all just a really good package for just the 4 mana, especially if you do have a way of proliferating or putting more counters onto her. She's awesome. So I like Kasmina. I got a lot of love for this card. I'm going to give it a 5.5. You can't stop me. You can't. I really think this card is about that good. Even in like Cash Commander, I do still think there's plenty of things this card can do. And just the passive ability is really good. If you're playing Super Friends or you just have a lot of creatures, this is a good card. I promise you it's good. But we'll move on to Keeper of the Flame. Only ever printed in Exodus. This is 2 red mana for a 1/2 wizard. You can pay a red, tap it, and Keeper of the Flame deals 2 damage to target opponent. Play this ability only if that opponent has more life than you. So it's pretty good in your burn deck, but also in your burn deck, your opponent probably won't have more life than you. And it will almost never actually be able to deal the killing blow, right? So I can't rate it too high. I think it's actually kind of a trap. I remember liking this card when I was a kid, but now that I really look at it, I'm like, well, actually in a burn deck, it's kind of bad. So I think I'm going to give this, I remember it seeing some play though. I do. But I think I'm just going to give it like a 4.9. This is, I don't know. I think it's worse than it looks. I really do. But we'll go ahead and move on. I want to get off that artist to Corrupt. Originally printed in Corrupt. Originally printed in Urza's Saga. One of my favorite Magic cards. This is 6 mana, 5 and a black for a sorcery that deals 1 damage to target creature or player for each swamp you control. When Corrupt successfully deals damage to a creature or player, gain life equal to that damage. So a take on Drain Life that rather than make you have 10 lands or whatever to actually deal an acceptable amount of damage with a Drain Life. Instead, we're just going to say like, okay, if you have 7 or 8 lands out, you don't have to pay so much mana for your Drain Life. You know what I mean? Like, it's actually a better rate than Drain Life, all things considered, because sure, Drain Life can hit for 2 damage for 4 mana. It can, and it will do that sometimes if need be. 3 damage for 5, and you gain 3. It's fine. But once you hit that 6th mana, Corrupt starts being a much better deal than Drain Life, because with a Drain Life, you'd be paying, 6 mana for 4 damage and gain 4. Corrupt at this point is probably going to be 6 drains. Again, if you're playing nothing but swamps, then this will be 6 drains. And even if you, if you're playing a Cabal Coffins in your deck, it's still fine to have that card out. Cast Corrupt, and suddenly you're dealing, 5, 6, 7 damage, depending on how many lands you have in play, even if one of them is non-basic. Corrupt is legal to play in Standard right now, and I do play it in Standard right now, in kind of a mono black burn like pile, and often Corrupt is the finishing move in that deck. Deck has plenty of signature maneuvers to wear down the opponent, but Corrupt is the elbow drop from the top rope that usually finishes things off, get you the 1, 2, 3. So I've liked Corrupt since 1996 or so. 98 in somewhere in there, and I'm not going to stop liking it now. Wonderful card that I'd love to give the honorary 5, but I actually think Corrupt's better than that. I think Corrupt is worth a 5.5. And that's probably mostly how much I like the card talking, but boy, do I like Corrupt. And this is my favorite Corrupt art too. The Urza's going down, unless it's Baron. Yeah, it's Urza. Urza's going down, but I just really like the color palette on Vincent Evans' work here. I think it looks really, really good. But we'll move on to Rite of the Raging Storm. 5 mana, 3 and 2 red for a card I don't know that I've ever seen before. This is an enchantment. Creatures named Lightning Rager can't attack you or planeswalkers you control. Okay. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player creates a 5/1 red elemental creature token named Lightning Rager. It has trample haste, and at the beginning of this end step, sacrifice this creature. So it makes ball lightnings for everyone, like slightly smaller ball lightnings. But it gives them to everyone that said you can't be hit by the ball lightning. So sexy. This is actually really cool. This is really, really cool. I've never seen this card. Card that just gives everyone a ball lightning is hot. It's really cool, dude. I'm not sure how good it actually is, especially at 5. But it sure is chaotic. It's the kind of chaotic that I like in a game of Commander. So neat. And like maybe people want their 5/1 every turn. So like they don't disenchant this, you know what I mean? They just kind of let you have it. Sick. That's a well-designed Magic card. It really is. 5.4. 5.4 for you. I'll give you that. Wall of Air is up next. Originally printed in the way back in Alpha or whatever. This is 3 mana, 1 and 2 blue for a 1/5 wall with flying. It's the entire card. 1.4. Moving on to Riftwing Cloudskate. Good card. 5 mana, 3 and 2 blue for a 2/2 illusion with flying. When it ETBs, return target permanent to its owner's hand. It has suspend 3 for 1 and a blue. I feel like we've done this card, but I don't know for sure. I feel like I'd remember for sure if we'd done this card because I really like Riftwing Cloudskate. It's actually had some playability in Standard. Way back in the day, you would see this around in more than one deck because it turns out Suspend is just a good ability. On the turn that you get this thing's, ETB and body, you didn't pay any mana. And Suspend creatures, especially cheap Suspend creatures, 2 mana, tend to be very good. A 2/2 flyer with this ability, with ETB, the permanent, bounce a thing, Mana War's ability. Actually better than Mana War's ability because permanent, it can even hit lands. It doesn't say non-land permanent, just it can even hit lands, is absolutely gross. And sometimes that's what Riftwing did, was bounce a land and kind of keep your opponent, especially if they were already mana screwed, from being able to develop. So Cloudskate is nasty. And probably isn't as nasty anymore. But, if you're building up that cube, maybe this is a good blue card. Just altogether, I like Cloudskate. I'm always going to have, room in my belly for it and love in my heart. So I'm going to give you a 4.95, so you round up to an honorary 5 without actually giving you the honorary 5. We'll move on to Gitu Lava Runner. I know we've done this card before, recently. Risk the Redeemed, though, we have not done yet. Originally printed in Shadowmoor, still worth anywhere between $5.50 and $7.50. This is a green and a white hybrid, so just 1 mana for a 1/1 legendary elf warrior. You pay 2 and then a green-white hybrid and tap it to put up 1/1 green and white elf warrior creature token into play. You can also pay 6 total mana. That's 4 and 2 green-white hybrids. Tap risk. For each creature token you control, put a token into play that is a copy of that creature, a fair, balanced, and not in any way broken ability. Yes, it costs 6 mana, but it also wins the game when you activate it. Most of the time, especially if you do have the Anointed Processions or whatever, things that double the amount of tokens you put into play, which this card is obviously really good in those decks. And it's sometimes even the commander for those decks, but it also goes somewhat well in just elves, in an elves deck that can play white, which isn't all of them, but just a good all-around card, whether it's your commander or it's in the 99 or it's in your tokens deck. It just has so many different sort of decks it can play in and do a lot of work. So I'm going to give Riss a 7.1. Just a gross card for getting your synergies really popping off and basically winning the game for you. Card is disgusting. But Primeeval Bounty is up next. 6 mana, 5 and a green for an enchantment. Whenever you cast... Oh, we did this card. We've done this card. We've done this card. Yeah, we did this card. We'll move on to Durge of Dread, which we have not done. Originally printed in Onslaught. 3 mana, 2 and a black for a sorcery. All creatures gain fear until end of turn, so they can't be blocked except by artifact creatures and or black creatures. This also has cycling for 1 and a black. When you cycle Durge of Dread, you may have a creature gain fear until end of turn. This actually looks okay. I have not seen this card. Not that I can remember. I played a little bit during Onslaught, but I don't think this card was a card that saw a whole lot of tournament play. Unless I have seen this. Was it in the Madness decks? I don't think so. But for some reason, this card does look really familiar the more I look at it. Either way, 3 mana for all your dudes gain fear till end of turn. Okay. We're talking a little bit. But I don't think it's going to be good enough. But I guess they knew that, and that's why they put the cycling on it. So just anything that you can... I feel like any card with cycling is instantly much, much better. Like it earns it like 2 whole points. So if we're doing that math, I'm actually going to give this a 4.4. I think it has its uses. I really do. And cycling just automatically makes card better. But we'll move on to the final card of the day. It's Ingun Eyes. This is 4 mana, 3 and a blue for a 3/3 legendary human wizard. When Elsa enters the battlefield, scry 3. And when Elsa dies, draw 3 cards if 3 or more creatures died this turn. So, sweet ETB trigger. Sweet death trigger. Normally a card I'd like a lot. But this card just really doesn't see a whole lot of play. Like, not at all. Even with that amazing death trigger, but it's kind of hard to get that death trigger to pop off. It really is. It's just kind of sweeper protection. Would be good in Aristocrats decks, but not a whole lot of blue decks are looking to sacrifice things. Even if they're blue-white or blue-black or whatever. Kind of difficult to just go full Aristocrats in those decks or justify playing blue if Ink is like the only thing that cares about sacrificing stuff, right? So it's just never really found a home, but it'd be a fun commander to build around. And it's a pretty unique ability, and it's got 2 good abilities, and it's somewhat blinkable in a way, because Scry 3 is fine. So ultimately, I'm going to end up giving this a 4.6. We'll give her some respect, but I think she is a little below average at the end of the day. But that was Friday, everybody. I hope that your night time is the right time and that your morning time is not a boring time. Anyway, I hope you have a good 24 hours from here on out, but I'll see you precisely 24 hours from when this video was uploaded. Anyway, I don't know. I love you guys. Hope your weekend's good. Hope it started off well. I hope it continues to be fantastic. Bye.